Welcome to episode 3 of the Icebikes World. I'm crafting some looms. And I'm chopping down some trees. And I started demolishing the floor so I can build yet another prison next to my old prison. So I built the walls. And I installed the floors. And I put down some rails between the breeder and the new prison. And then the wandering trader showed up with nothing useful. So I started moving villagers in. And once they were in, I gave them all looms. So I started upgrading these guys. And for some reason, I chose to keep the shears. You see, the reason why I got these guys is so then I can buy wool, because I can't get sheep in this world. Then I converted all this coloured wool into white wool. And then I put a roof on the villager prison. And I decided to turn off my camera to do a bit of grinding. But I did record myself getting a cat here. Then I decided to do a whole bunch of creeper hunting, so I could get more fireworks. Then I went to the nether, and I found a bastion. So I looted it, but I didn't get a netherite upgrade, unfortunately. So I decided to start mining around for netherite. You see, the wool that I got earlier was used to make beds. And I mined up the ancient debris. Bang. 2 more ancient debris. Then I did an insane amount of bed bombing. I pretty much continued this until I ran out of wool. And since most of the footage is just like this, I'm just going to skip to the part where I mine the ancient debris. Yeah, so I find a load of ancient debris. And after all this mining, I end up with a grand total of 31 ancient debris. And on that note, I'm digging up to the surface. And I'm going to this bastion that I found. And I'm stealing their gold and their netherite upgrades. And then I went back to base. So I put my ancient debris in the furnace. And whilst I waited, I traded with some villagers to get XP to repair my tools. Once it was smelted, I crafted netherite ingots. So first I crafted all my diamond armor into netherite and I got cover me with debris. Then I upgraded my 2 pickaxes. Then I realised that my sword was missing some enchants, so I decided to go to my enchanting table to enchant it. Then I enchanted a sword with the missing enchants. Then I merged it with my existing sword. And I turned it to netherite. And I also found another cat. Then I found another cat, which I tamed after a short chase. Meaning I've now tamed 3 out of the 11 cat types. Then I chopped down some trees. And I tamed another cat. Then I enchant a book with sharpness 3. And because I've run out of levels, I have to go back to chopping trees. So that I can trade sticks with the villagers so I can get XP. And I also gained XP from mining up my nether quartz. And then I got another sharpness 3 book as well as a sharpness 2 book. Then I merged together some sharpness 1 books. And after a tiny bit more quartz mining, and a quick trip to the skeleton farm, as well as some villager trading, I eventually hit 30 levels again. So I could get my final sharpness book. Then I decided to fly around and look for a cave. No, actually I needed to get more food. Okay, back to caving now. I searched the caves at spawn for minerals to mine and mobs to fight so I could get XP. And I was quite successful with this. And I somehow ended up back in the mine shaft from episode 1. And apparently I missed some diamonds last time. When I got back I smelted all my ores. And I made another 3 netherite upgrades. I turned my shovel into netherite. And I upgraded more toolsmiths. Then finally I added sharpness 5 to my axe and I turned it to netherite. And for my next project I cut down a tree. So that I could make chests. And here I have 25 single chests. I gathered up building blocks. You see, I want to build 25 copies of this Shulkercraft iron farm. And to build it I need to gather these materials. Because I'm building so many farms I need to clear out a massive area. You see, this area needs to be 125 by 125. I also need to flatten the land with snow. And whilst I was working, a wandering trader showed up. And I got oak saplings, some dyes and some flowers. However, this project took up way more snow than I thought, so I decided to mine some deep slate to replace the snow that I was going to use to build the farms with. Once I'd mined all the deep slate, I turned it all into deep slate bricks. And then I claimed an extra 1,000 snow blocks from my chests. Whilst I was working on the project, I took a lot of snow from the old ground level. Also, a wandering trader sold me acacia saplings. And also moss and slime. Then I grew a pumpkin. And I built a box for a snow golem to live in. Because I had a snow shortage, I decided to mine up some snow. And finally, after hours and hours of work, my field was flat. However, to get zombies and villagers into the farm, I need to have rails, and to make rails I need iron, and I don't have any iron, so I decided to mine up some iron. And luckily I also got some diamonds on the trip. And I also took this opportunity to light up a load of caves underneath my house. I had torches in my offhand when I was coming back to my base. And then I fell down my ladder and I didn't hit the water, so I almost died. I connected the site of the iron farms to my villager breeder with these rails. And I also built a new storage place for the villagers. And then I started moving villagers to the new farm, which took a lot longer than I expected because my villager breeder design is poor. And then I started placing down markers for where the farms are going to be. Then once all 25 markers were down, I decided to build a copy of the farm. You see, these farms are quite small and they're quite easy to build. The only challenging part was getting the zombies and the villagers into place. However, I ran out of villagers, so I decided to make a second villager breeder, which involved destroying a hill, as well as tilling the ground, and planting potatoes, and getting the villagers inside the breeder, and finally installing some tracks. However, the villagers weren't ready yet, so I decided to go caving to pass the time. And basically nothing happened that was notable on the trip, besides me lighting up this ravine. But I did find a 10 vein of diamonds. And I got some gunpowder from these creepers. For my next time killing project, I decided to grow some moss. And I decided to grow some azalea trees from the azaleas that I got from the moss. But then I mined up the leaves with shears. I needed to get rid of my snow golem. You see, I want to build a garden here, however, the snow golem's hut is in the way. And so I decided to build a replacement just down the road. And for my second time killing project, I decided to kill all the chickens. And I demolished the box that they were living in. And I started building a road to my new chicken farm. And my new chicken farm has got a load of farms within it, including an automatic chicken farm and 2 egg farms for different types of eggs. And then a wandering trader came along selling pale oak and birch saplings as well as tropical fish. And I continued work on expanding the iron farms. And then I went for another trip to the caves. So I continued working on my garden. And then I started building rooms in my house, because before this my house was completely hollow. The first room I built in my house was my bedroom. And also I built a music room. And then I tore down the wall between the 2 villager prisons and I decided to shrink one of the villager prisons. Then I went to grow a pale oak tree, but then I realised I needed 4 saplings and I only bought 3. So I decided to use birchwood instead. And here I laid down the foundations for my first metro station in this world. And then I continued digging out the area for my platforms. And then later on I was working on my iron farm and I found a diamond zombie. So I moved him to safety. Overall, I've created a lot of mess in this episode. But on the other hand, I've got 25 iron farms operational now. And a beautiful metro station, with redstone lamps to tell you whether you can go down or not. And I have 2 lovely platforms built. I'm sorry about the long wait time, but yeah, if you're curious, this is how long I've been working on the video for.